Good morning, Minneapolis. How y'all doing? Welcome back. Welcome back. We have some new friends, and you're a new friend as well, or maybe you're an old friend, however you're a friend. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for checking in to Good Morning Minneapolis, brought to you by Onsite Public Media. I'm your host, Toussaint Morrison. Today, in obvious news, if you're an environmentalist and you're a candidate, stop sending me the damn flyers. Stop sending flyers. Guess where they go? The trash. They go right into the trash. And then that just produces more trash. You're not an environmentalist. Stop sending me flyers. Today in our headline story, jury selection for the trial of Ahmaud Arbery's killers has begun. February of 2020, Ahmaud Arbery, a black man who was going for a jog in Glynn County, Georgia, until he was hunted, ambushed, and killed by three white men, Gregory McMichael, Travis McMichael, and William Roddy Bryan. Gregory and Travis physically accosted Ahmaud, while William Bryan filmed the hunt and murder of Ahmaud. When the first panel of potential jurors were sworn in and asked if they had any negative feelings about the modern-day lynch mob of three white men, more specifically Travis McMichael's, shockingly, 12 out of the 20 raised their hands. Who the are the 8 people that were like, nah, I'm still deciding whether I don't like him or not? He tracked down a black man and killed him for jogging. The jury's out on this mother. Pun intended. Case closed. Pun intended. Take the racist murderer to prison. One of the prospective jurors said, a man died, so I have a pretty negative feeling about that. I don't feel very good about him. No, you don't say. That should have probably been the obvious news of today. If I got to be the interpreter in all of this flat court etiquette quoting, I empathize with this woman and more. I'd be insulted just by Travis's lawyer asking me the question if I had a negative feeling about him. I'd be like, are you projecting right now so you don't feel alone in the room? Racist lawyer. One of the potential jurors was a white woman who attended a segregated school from first grade to high school and questioned why William Bryan was recording the murder hunt. Now, she said this for one of two reasons, and this might get a little bit weird, so bear with me. One, she said that because, committing an act of violence is really bad and you shouldn't be filming that. You should be trying to help that person. And filming an act of violence is an act of violence in and of itself, so that's messed up, y'all. Or two, she said that because she was thinking, well, we never filmed ourselves being racist back in the day. Why would you do it now and implicate yourself? Shh, we don't talk about White Club. Holy there are white people in today's world that have gone through an entirely segregated school experience. Ed Graff, we're not talking about you. Tune out, get out. Ed, leave, go home, go back to Alaska. So, while that's underway, it's also important to note that in September, Jacqueline Johnson, the former chief prosecutor for the Brunswick area who briefly handled the case, was indicted for obstructing a police officer and showing favor and affection to Gregory McMichael, who previously worked in her office. Remind you of anyone? Mike Freeman. Oh, it's a horrible cough. It's been around for the past 15 years. Let's all take into account that these 3 white Klansmen might be walking out of jail had it not been recorded, which is a question we should all be consistently asking. How many weren't filmed? Speaking of racism outside of your family's dinner table, Minneapolis mayoral candidate Gerald Perry woke up less than a few weeks ago to see this written on his house. This is a death threat, and it is also an extremely racist statement, and it's been publicly put on the side of his house. Perry writes, my family woke up this morning to this written outside of our home. The worst part is that it was noticed by my wife when she took our 5-year-old out to get on the school bus, and she had to start yelling for me to distract our daughter from reading it and made her come back into the house. We called 311 to make a report. In a city where black men are being targeted by police who say they are out here hunting people, as well as being targeted by people both inside and outside of our own communities, where are we safe, if not even at home? I have so many thoughts about this, but I don't have time right now. Got to get back to work, but we'll be on to discuss this later. Said he has to get back to work. That's literally all we're trying to do. We're trying to get back to work, make cool do dope things, and be of value to our community. And while we're doing that, we got to worry about folks tagging the N-word on the sides of our houses while this black man is trying to run for mayor. Y'all really scared, aren't you? You are scared. You scared. You scared. It's 2021. Not 1921, 2021. And folks are out here making death threats to black candidates in Minnesota. How anyone can look at this and be passive about racism in Minnesota is part of the problem. We'd like to submit this to TPT and PBS that racism is no longer vintage. It's today. Speaking of right now racism, killer cop Derek Chauvin is appealing his murder charges. You know who Derek is. There's no need to get into the international uprising that occurred after he murdered a black man in cold blood while working as a Minneapolis police officer. There's no need to drag that out. But he's appealing the charges, which means he's essentially saying the punishment doesn't fit the crime. That's laughable. The story is, who's going to be his lawyer for his appeal? Could it be Eric Nelson again? Tell me, Clarice, can you still hear the sirens? My client is a trained killer who's killed before. What makes you think that he would kill again? Again. Nope, that's not the guy. It's weird. Bring me the news rights. Chauvin sought a public defender for the appeal of his conviction and sentence, saying he didn't have enough money to pay for an attorney. The Minnesota Supreme Court denied his request, saying his assets and debts make him ineligible for a public defender. Hold the up. Chauvin is in prison, has been out of work for a year, and he has too much money to be considered for a public defender? Holy crime pays. Can you imagine that? You've killed people while on the job, and you make too much to get a public defender. Whatever group of white men that created the system really made sure they get the win no matter how much they f***ed up in public. Could Chauvin call his old union for a favor? Yeah, Bob, it's me, Ricky. Yeah, no, they're not letting me out. Is there any chance I could borrow a lawyer? Oh, Earl Grey's busy. Oh, crap. Yeah, the Kim thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. Jeez. Yeah. That joke is presumptuous, seeing that the union only has one lawyer per killer cop coming up for Thomas Lane, Alexander Kyung, and Tu Tao. Remember the good old days when you had a band of lawyers helping out one killer cop? Man, times have sure changed. One would think that the MPD is gunning down people so often they can't afford to. Literally. They can't afford to pay for all these lawyers, which brings us back to the question, who is going to actually even want to represent killer cop Chauvin for his appeal? Drum roll, please. It is William F. Morman of Morman, Cardall, and Erickson. Who the hell are they? Bring me the news rights. His firm has been involved in a slew of high-profile lawsuits in recent years, among them a lawsuit that sought to block mandatory vaccination at Minnesota healthcare facilities, a lawsuit that sought to vacate the 2020 presidential election results in Arizona, and a suit against Edina Public Schools that saw them represent the Edina High School Young Conservative Club, whose parents claimed their children's rights to political speech had been violated after the school ended the club following name-calling and racist social media messages. Yeah, this checks out. Killer cop defended by a gang of that are cool with hospital workers spreading COVID, Trump illegally sabotaging a presidential election, and supporting the hurt white feelings of young people in Edina saying racist things. In other news, the sky is high, water still wet. I love the fact that there exists the Edina High School Young Conservative Club. I'm sure that they have a poster of Ronald Reagan somewhere in their office, playing poker with Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. The Edina High School Young Conservative Club. We're not just hornets, we're wasps. Lastly, we have to address a picture that surfaced in the Star Tribune. I think that you've all seen it and you're all wondering about it. They were covering the undefeated Lakeville High School football team. Here is head coach Ben Burke with his fist in the air, which may make this the first white man in Lakeville to be recorded giving the Black Power fists. I'm sure he'll correct us if we misinterpreted what he was doing, right? Right? Ben, you got our number. We're all good. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in to On-Site Public Media's Good Morning Minneapolis. I'm Toussaint Morrison. We love y'all. If you want to support programs like this, click the link below. We are over 150 members strong. We're trying to get to 200. Let's go, champ. Love y'all. And our work is never, ever, 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 ever done.